All right, welcome to the Sports Guys, another episode. This week we have a really special topic for you guys, and that is college football. We are 3 weeks away from the kickoff, and we wanted to bring this episode to you guys tonight and really take a look at all the major conferences, all the major college football players, which teams have a chance to win the Natty, who's on the Heisman watch, and all those really important things. So how you doing, Robbie?
I'm doing great. I'll tell you, I work on a campus, and walking around, when you run into the drum majors working on their thing, and you bump into cheerleaders practicing lifts, and you bounce into mascots who are sort of getting charged up, you can feel it coming. Like it's like a steam train of excitement that you can just feel coming. And this is such a fun time of year.
There's nothing like college football. There's nothing like the bands and the cheerleaders and the students and
And the alumni are going crazy. And
I mean, I just love it. I love college football and I love NFL, but the last 5 years or so, college is about 5% above NFL now for me. There's
you
just
know what it
something
is?
so exciting about it.
NFL is amazing because of the skill level. The things you're seeing are just unbelievable. But college combines party with athletic excitement. It's a party and it's entertainment at the same time. Because you're eating your wings and you're going to the game, you're celebrating the student section. Like it's just fun. Like it's definitely an incredible. NFL is a little different. It's a little less fun and a lot more pure excitement and sports entertainment,
Do you think people are more passionate about their school or about their NFL club?
Definitely their school.
You think
Definitely their school. Yeah.
Because I don't know. There's a lot of crazy, Pittsburgh Steelers fans and Dallas
No question. When I watch Cleveland Brown fans, when I watch Packer fans where they're part owners of the team, when I see how crazy Jet fans are, you name the team. Other than, I think the only team I haven't seen that was so crazy was the Chargers, maybe. Jaguars, decent. But point is, I think NFL, you get really excited about your team. You even grew up on that team. But there's something about rooting for your college alma mater and college team that is just a little more juice.
It's true. It's true. What do you think of this era of college football? I mean, 6 years ago, we entered the transfer portal era. Okay. And that's where essentially college football players became free agents, just like NFL players, and they can transfer. It used to be every 2 years and only twice in their careers. Now they can transfer literally every year. So you have that situation. Then 3 years ago, NIL comes in, and they essentially said schools can't pay people directly, but you can get paid for your name, image, and likeness through these NIL collectives. And essentially, schools were helping to coordinate and put together these NIL collectives so that their big-time players could get paid. So that came in 3 years ago. And now this year, in the House versus NCAA settlement, teams are now going to be able to pay $20.5 million as a salary cap to any athlete they want within any of their 35 programs. And most of it's going to go to football. So what do you think about this kind of landscape and what are we entering? It feels different.
I think it's an incredible time for college football. I see parallel tracks here. I don't like the financial side of it right now, even though them getting paid is fine. I just feel like them being total free agents every single year doesn't seem right to me. I feel like college should be a commitment, and then you should be able to go. And if it doesn't work out in one spot, you should be able to transfer once. And then I think after that, you should start paying some kind of penalty for transferring again for money. Maybe you can't get paid the first year, or there's got to be something that makes you take a hard look at just transferring all over the place just for money.
There's a lot of downside to it, I see. I mean, the new Trump administration is trying to address it with Congress right now with more tightened up regulations about how people can get paid, how much they can get paid, the salary cap. So this settlement was step one, but now Congress is trying to do something.
So on the one hand, I was talking about the financial side of it, I don't think that I'm not pleased with where that is. But the other side of it is the football side, and I think it's as good as I've ever seen it, because people are staying in school. Instead of after their second year, they're clamoring to go be on a practice squad and out of the league, and you can't follow them.
I was
First of
about to
all,
say.
these guys are in the league for 5 years now. Some of them are coming up on 6.
Mhm,
There's a guy who is in the league who was on LSU with Joe Burrow,
mhm,
who's still playing college football. So, I
mhm.
mean, they're staying longer, which means college football is better quality.
College football's better, and I think the NFL draft is better because of it, and I think the
Yeah.
NFL is better because of it. I thought
Yeah.
it was gonna really hurt college football when all this happened 6 years ago, and I was wrong.
I was wrong too. It keeps them
And
in
now
college. So them being paid money to me is fine, but the lack of any rules is not fine. It shouldn't be the Wild West.
I'm
It should
now
be you have to sign some kind of contract, maybe for 2-year contracts. And if you want to go after like there could be all kinds of rules you could implement after your second transfer. You have to sit out a year, whatever. But the financial side of it, I don't love so much. But the football side of it is the beneficiary. There's way better football than there has been most of my life. The quality, these guys are coming out and going into the pros, and they're starting right away. Like, they're ready. There's very few people who are flaking out in the pros because they're too immature to handle it. It's not happening.
I'm
Guys
now
walk in there and they own the room.
I'm now a huge believer in it because it incents the better coaching staffs who are the better recruiters. It has spread out the talent. The third string guy at Georgia, the third string guy at Alabama, they're no longer at Georgia and Alabama. They're going and playing at other programs. So it's spreading the talent out wider. You're getting the Indianas of the world. You're getting these teams that never would have made the college football playoff.
ECUs, yeah.
And they can put a roster together in 1 year now through the transfer portal.
Hmm.
And then the other thing you're having, like you said, you're having guys stay 4, 5, 6 years, and they're
Yeah,
getting coaching and they're working on their craft. And when they come to the NFL, they are ready to start. They're not just ready to play; they're ready to start.
yeah.
You
That's
have
what.
a huge thing that happened today. This is breaking news for our listeners. Arch Manning, the grandfather of Arch Manning, the Texas quarterback, said that the family met this past weekend to advise Arch, and they've come up with a family decision that Arch agrees with, and that is that he's now going to commit to stay not just this year, but he's going to stay next year at Texas. He wants 2 starting years full at Texas,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't do that if he wasn't getting paid $6 million a year.
Correct.
The fact
Because
that
he's
we
getting
know,
paid, they're not accelerating their path to the
right?
NFL as much. They go when they're ready.
So now he's not going to come out after his sophomore year and not be ready and won't be ready for 2 or 3 years in the NFL. Instead, he's committed to Texas, so they don't have to go
Yeah.
recruit a quarterback.
Right.
They know they've got him this season and next season. He's
And
basically
now the
putting him up.
NFL can get Arch and possibly let him watch for a little while and put him in his first year, or definitely in his second, without hesitation, because he's ready.
And
I
NFL
still
team,
think it's smart to sit the quarterback for a year, but in the past, 3 years was better. Like, he needed to learn.
like
They had a lot of learning to do.
you had people proposing that maybe Nick Saban would come back next year to the Cleveland Browns or someone like that who was in position to draft Arch Manning. Well, now they know Arch Manning's not going to be on the board. So
I
NFL,
heard today
NFL teams can now plan for it.
I heard today that the New Orleans Saints are making calls to Saban,
Mhm.
and he loved LSU, loves Louisiana, and he's really good friends with the Manning family. And so the Saints are going to be pretty bad. So you never
Yeah,
know.
but
Never
but
know.
he's not going to be there to draft because he's staying another year in Texas. So I don't
Well,
know.
not this year, but
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. But anyway, this is I'm starting to change my tune on the whole system. I do think it still needs more regulation. That's why Congress is stepping in, and
yeah.
the area they're going to step in is really important, and that is to save Title IX and to save lesser programs. Essentially, they're going to create a hard cap for teams. You can only spend this percentage of your revenue on football, and you can only spend this percentage of revenue on basketball. And they're going to force major Division I programs to spend a certain percentage of their budgets on everybody else, female and male.
Hmm.
And I think it's
And
good.
we'll see.
Good. I think it's
I
good.
honestly think we're only 10% of the way into this final resolution. I don't think all the ideas have even been thought of yet. And I don't think that we've seen the final arbitration of how
But
this is going to end up. So my point is, I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg in terms of the solution, but everyone knows that this is broken. And the idea that some people are on their fourth transfer is just unacceptable. Like
we
that's
don't want to see, women's soccer and men's
no,
lacrosse and all
no.
these programs get wiped out because all the money goes for a football team. We don't want
Yeah,
to see
there's a
that.
lot of factors here to consider, and football is obviously going to get their money. But at the end of the day, there need to be some rules. But I like that players are getting paid; they're staying longer. College football really, really benefits. And honestly, this time of year is usually a huge question mark. I have no idea who's going to be good and all that. Well, I think you get a decent look at, most of the top 25. Probably 20 of them are going to be good, and there's going to be 4 or 5 surprises that they couldn't reload, but most of these teams are going to be good again. So that's
So
pretty cool.
really, really interesting debate with Joel Klatt and Colin Cowherd this week. I don't know if you saw it, but
Hmm.
essentially the crux of it, I want to get your take on, which is Colin Cowherd argues that college football now at the highest level, the talent and the better teams who have a chance at a natty has concentrated to just a couple programs. He says that essentially the the whole new salary cap, the NIL, and the transfer portal have helped the blue blood, top 4, top 5 programs. Whereas Joe Klatt said the opposite. He thinks actually the system has broadened out, spread out the talent, given programs like Indiana a chance,
Yeah.
given a program like Penn State, who probably never would have had a chance. They're good, but they never would have a chance at a natty. Now they do. So,
Hmm.
are you on the side of Colin or are you on the side of Joel Klatt?
I'm definitely on the side of Joel Klatt. I think that this has widened out from just basically it was always 3 teams. It was Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State, and then a fourth team in there. Whereas now, uh, Georgia's not as dominant. Alabama's way less dominant, and Ohio State just won it all. But there are other teams that are up there, and Penn State hasn't been in the national spotlight for national title in a long time, even though they're very relevant. Um, you got your Clemson back up a little bit, and you got all kinds of teams that can go on a run if they stay healthy. And if the
Mhm,
better teams get a little bit injured, they're
mhm.
out. So no,
Yeah,
I think there's more possibilities. I do think this is happening though. This is one thing I do want to draw a fine point on. I think they're stratifying Division One into 2 groups. Teams that have a chance, which is usually the top half of each division, and then the bottom stratification is a group that has no chance. If you're Mississippi State or Vanderbilt, you have no chance because you got to go through all these SEC teams.
that's right.
If you're Stanford in the ACC or
Or
something like that,
Northwestern in the Big Ten.
Northwestern, you have no
Yeah,
chance,
yeah.
none. And maybe you never did, but you certainly have no more chance than you did then. So I think it's stratifying into sort of like Division 1A and Division 1B. And 1B will probably never win the national title if you
I'd say
find
before this new system, you had 4 blue bloods that could win the Natty every year.
Yeah.
I think now you have maybe 10 to 12. It has gotten bigger. I agree with
Yeah.
Joel. And Joel Klatt's reason is that Georgia and Alabama and Michigan and Ohio State, they can't store the guy on the third string anymore for 4 years.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
That's right.
He's out of there after a year if he doesn't start. So it broadens out immediately. These guys have all kinds of options. They can just go right into the portal and go somewhere where they can actually play. Our friend Jackson Moore went to App State because he wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I agree with Joel Klatt. I do think, though, in both scenarios, it's still very concentrated. You're talking maybe 10 or
Yeah.
12 programs that can win it.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's pretty concentrated, but I think it's less so.
you're
I
not
think
going to
there's
see
a little more
University.
parity because of the transfer portal moving talent around to secondary schools, people who can pay, and to some people going for trying to be in the big time leagues, like transferring into SEC teams.
There's an argument that you wouldn't have an Ashton Genty now that you can pay people directly. You wouldn't see somebody come up like that through like a Boise State. What do you think about that? Is that true? I mean, you're not going to get that kind of talent. He's probably going to transfer after a year to one of the big programs.
I think there are still people out there who believe in the loyalty, that it pays dividends, especially in college, staying the course. Ashton Genty, think about Arch Manning. You know, he could be easily bouncing around, getting bigger and bigger paydays from he could bounce from SEC team to SEC team, getting twice as much as he got last year every single year, but he wants to develop properly. And he came up, sat behind Quinn Ewers, sat behind him again, has committed to staying long term. There are players who believe in stability, projecting out that they're loyal and that they are able to be coached and they're developing, and that they don't just bail out of a program because they got yelled at once.
Yeah, I don't agree with that whole sentiment at all, because think about it. Ted McMillan, who's now the number one pick for the Carolina Panthers this year, nobody heard of him before last season at Arizona. And he had that game the second week of the year last year where he had 370 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. And he just announced himself to the college football world. And he was at University of Arizona, which is not a football powerhouse. So you had that situation. You have Cam Scatterbo that nobody had heard of coming out of Arizona State. And Arizona State, they had picked last in their division, and they end up going to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So I personally believe, even though, yes, they're the blue bloods and they're the teams you know are going to make the playoff, there's going to be surprises. I really believe that.
Yeah.
They're going to be surprise teams and surprise players.
Out of your top 25, there's probably going to be 5 surprisingly bad ones, probably due to injury, and a couple people where you assume that they were going to reload with their freshman quarterback, but he's no good, and all that stuff. And then a couple who aren't in the top 25 are going to sneak in there. And then for the most part, people are just going to bounce up and down within that top 25. And there's some tremendous games this year. I mean, the first game of the year,
think about that Big 12 conference I was just talking about, right? So you had Utah was picked to win it, and in second was going to be Kansas State. What ended up happening, both those teams flamed out, and you had Arizona State and Iowa State, Luke's team, have completely surprising great years, both of them knocking on the door of the playoff, and then Arizona State made it. So I just believe it's going to happen again. I really do. There'll be a team in the Big Ten we're not expecting, maybe in Maryland.
And that's my point. It's like the argument that only a tiny number of teams can win it is just not right. I mean, and I think you're starting to see a bigger and bigger group of teams that have a legitimate shot if they stay healthy. And that's the part you can't determine in advance.
It's true. It's very true. Well, it'll be really fun to watch. I mean, I love the sport so much. As I said, it's starting to edge out NFL for me now. And I can't wait to see what happens this year. And obviously, they're talking about already expanding the 12-team field. I like it the way it is, personally. But they're talking about maybe going to 16. And they're talking about mega conferences. The rumor came out again today that, UNC to the Big Ten. And we'll just have to watch. It's going to be a changing sports landscape for a couple of years. Like you said, it is not settled out yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we're about 10% settled. So there's a huge amount of information that's going to roll out over the next 3 to 5 years on new direction for college football. The good news is that the players are staying longer and giving us a better product on the field. So I think as far as ratings and everything else, the sky's the limit. It's just going to keep getting better.
I got my Virginia shirt on here. How do you think they're going to be this year? You think they're going to be a little better? Are they going to be able to save Elliott's job?
It's hard to say. There's a possibility they're a little better. I've heard some good things about getting some offensive line transfer portal guys, but I don't know.
They always have good skill guys, have good receivers, good running backs. They have a very easy schedule. It's their easiest schedule in about 5 years. So that
helps. That was smart, is to back down. Know your limits, know your limits.
But I mean, we just have to be real about it as Cavalier fans that they are the Vanderbilt of the ACC now. They just are, and you
You know,
may have a surprising year once every 5 years, maybe.
when I
But
was doing my research, a lot of what I think is going to happen to the best teams, the Blue Bloods, really does have to do with how their scheduling is.
it really is.
Some of their schedules are not that hard,
I know.
and some of them are
UNC.
brutal, like
You know,
7 straight hard games kind of thing. Like, you can't survive that.
they were saying that Belichick, in his decision to come to UNC, he looked at many, many things, and one of the things he looked at was their schedule this year, and it's very easy.
Yeah.
UNC's schedule is very easy because he knew he'd be reloading, he knew he'd be building a program,
Yeah.
going to the portal for a lot of
Start
people.
over.
So we'll see what happens. Let's go take a look at our material. All right, let's take a moment to do a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, and that is Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's is our favorite sub shop. As a matter of fact, I just finished half a number 13 sandwich, and I had the other half last night. So always delighted when I get to have my favorite, which is the original Italian. Robbie, how much do you guys like Jersey Mike's?
Absolutely love it. We came back from the beach last night, and boys were really hungry. And so they wanted to stop at their favorite fast food place, even though we get Jersey Mike's all the time. And I just wasn't in the mood. So I found a Jersey Mike's and had my number 17. And I was so pumped. It was good. It was perfect. After a day at the beach, you're hungry and you want something a little healthier. And, we have one fast food restaurant that we go to sometimes, but we kind of, man, Jersey Mike's, you can't beat it. It's really good. It's great ingredients, hot, they're friendly, and it's affordable, and we're just so full. It's the best.
It's so fresh. The service is so good. They're on time. I love that they make it right in front of you. They ask you what you want on it. So, guys, tonight, go check out jerseymikes.com or check out the Jersey Mike's app or order from DoorDash or Uber Eats or one of them, or go to your local store. There should be one fairly close to where you live, and check out a sub today. And remember,
yeah, we're really proud to partner with them, and it is a sub above.
It's a sub above. Have a good night. All right, this is our college football 2025 season preview, episode 71. You got a lot of the epic players there on the top who we're going to be watching this year. You got Arch Manning, who a lot of people are putting in first position in the Heisman watch. Second position, the Heisman watch is Nussmeier right there from LSU. A lot of people think he's the best player in the country this year. You got Drew Aller from Penn State, who some people are picking to be the team that might win the whole thing. And then Jeremiah Smith, the most exciting college wide receiver that a lot of people have seen in many years. This guy was just, from game one last year as a freshman, was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple other big players in the mix here. You got Clemson, Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, and Notre Dame. And of course, there's others as well. But any general thoughts when you look at these players and these programs?
Yeah, I mean, you got Joel Klatt saying that Cade Klubnik for Clemson is the best quarterback in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Aller, Nussmeier, and Manning up there, and there's a huge number of quarterbacks. I'm so excited about the quarterback class. And you know what's going to happen? One or two of these guys are going to be sort of disappointing this year, and they're going to drop in stock and that's going to be a really good value in the draft. It reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He fell because he had kind of a weaker fourth year, but a lot of that was because his supporting cast all went to the NFL, and he kind of rebuilt and he was stuck. That can happen.
They are saying there's going to be as many as 5 guys that have a first round grade this year in terms of quarterbacks. And by the way, that's without Arch Manning. He's already said he's coming back next year.
We'll see. I will say with Arch Manning, if they win the national title, he might go.
Maybe.
If you can't top it, you go. If he wins the national title and MVP of the national championship game, you go to the NFL just because you can't top that season.
And then they're saying that there may be as many as 5 guys who have a second round grade. So you're going to have, maybe as many as 10 guys going the first 2 rounds.
I believe that.
That's an incredible quarterback class.
But I will say right now, there's 1 or 2 that we're thinking are going to be great that are going to slide and slip and have mediocre to weak seasons.
It's true.
It's hard to predict that in
I
advance.
really like Clemson this year. I really like Notre Dame. Notre Dame has been maybe more aggressive than anybody else in the recruiting game. They've really been doing great. Georgia, of course, is always a powerhouse. Nobody's going to want to play them.
Yeah.
Alabama's been reloading, and they think that DeBoer, even in his second season, is going to be under a lot of pressure to deliver. And then I really like Michigan's coach is really great. He's done a great job recruiting. So
Yeah.
the thing
about Georgia, the thing that sticks out to me is Georgia's schedule is really easy. I mean, it's surprisingly easy.
Do you think Ohio State can repeat?
No.
I don't think so either.
Can they? Yes. Do I think they will? No.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's just really, really hard to win it in the first place. They hadn't won it in a number of years when they won it last year. So
I think the quarterback is a little unsettled.
do you think Heller is good enough to win it? And do you think their coach is good enough? Because he always loses the big games. He always has a good record.
I think it's been a little unfair to say that he loses the big game. I think to this point, the skill level he's gone into these games with is slightly less than his opponents almost every single time. So I think that he's a good coach. I think it's unknown whether he can win the big one. This year is the first year I think I've seen where Joel Klatt picked Penn State to win it all.
But don't you think Penn State, when they go into that Ohio State game this year, they just have so much pressure. Like they're going to be thinking in the back of their minds.
I don't think Penn State wins it all, but Joel Klatt does. So it is what it is. They're definitely going to be a good team right there at the top. And if they have some stumbles, then they'll fall. But do I think they win it all? No, but that's for later in the discussion.
Yeah, agreed. So let's look at some of the headlines coming out of college football in the preseason. So some of the biggest headlines center around high expectations for Texas and Ohio State in their repeat bid. Both teams vying for the top spot in the polls. Texas, led by Arch Manning, is highly touted with national championship aspirations after their strong performances the last 2 years. Ohio State lost a lot of key players in the draft, but still are very strong because they have a really deep roster. And then you have this Ohio State-Texas opening matchup, which is going to kick off the season, which none of us can wait for. I think it's going to be everyone sitting in their easy chair with their feet up with their beer, noon on a Saturday to watch Ohio State-Texas to see who leads us off. Then you also have Penn State, we just mentioned, has really high expectations. A lot of people in the Penn State nation and others in Big Ten areas feel like this is their year, that Ohio State losing all that talent, Penn State might be able to beat them and Michigan and get in there. So thoughts about these three teams and the overall debate about has the Big Ten slightly passed the SEC now? There's a whole debate about that.
There's more money in the Big Ten, but Oklahoma and Texas going to SEC really helped. So I'm not sure. I mean, Texas looks amazing. Did you know that 5 of the last 8 national champions had the number 1 scoring defense?
I didn't
5
know
out of the last 8. So yeah, so that's significant. I mean, there were a bunch of teams last year that were disappointing, and the reason they were disappointing was because their defenses weren't good. So like it was kind of like watching the Colts with Peyton Manning all those years.
Right.
There was a lot of teams like that last year. So
That's true.
Texas had the number 3 defense, and they're returning most of their guys.
Do you know where Ohio State was preseason last year in the rankings?
No.
8th. So I look at that and I think to myself, okay, when I look at these top 9, I agree with Klatt. Any of the top 9 can win this thing.
Yeah.
That's how open it is.
I think it's more than that, to be honest with you.
It could be.
I think there's some teams that were pushed downward who are thought of as question marks because their quarterback's a little unknown. Well, I mean, think about it. Rourke for Indiana last year was unknown until last year. So, like, out of the blue, this guy's taking his team to great heights that Indiana's never seen before.
And there were other guys like that. Jennings for SMU. Nobody knew he'd be good, and they were fantastic. So Longhorns, led by Arch Manning, of course, considered a national championship contender, and they have a really strong, deep roster, like 2 and 3 deep at every position.
They have All-Americans on that defense at all levels. They have
a highly recruited
edge rushers, they have linebackers, and they have safeties and corners and stuff that are all preseason All-Americans, et cetera. So Texas on defense is just stacked. And I think the fact that their schedule is decent. I mean, their biggest games are Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia. Those are tough. But if you can win 2 of those, you're in the playoff. If you can win all 3, you're number 1 seed. And if you win one of them, you're still probably in the playoff. So, and they're all on the road, which is tough. But
they have one of the tougher schedules of the top 5. But their defense does look absolutely stacked with NFL talent. It's crazy. So looking at Ohio State, lots of losses of players to the NFL, but they're still expected to contend for a natty because they're going to be right in the thick of the Big Ten race. And if you're in the Big Ten race, you're going to get into the playoff. So that's really the bottom line. The real question mark for them is Sayan, who's the highly touted 5-star quarterback. And he's 18 years old, and you just don't know what you're going to get right away.
There's a lot more questions than that. Chip Kelly left as the offensive coordinator, replaced by Brian Hartline. Anytime you bring in a new offensive coordinator, you have a new system. It's going to be trickier. So Ryan Day is going to have a heavier hand on that. They had a large turnover. They had 14 NFL draft picks. Ohio State did.
That's right.
So that's not easy to replace. I don't care what you're recruiting. That's not easy to replace. You're hoping guys that are on the team are going to step up, and you're hoping a little transfer portal to fill holes, but you really don't know what you got. And then on the other side, their defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, left, and he was replaced by Matt Patricia. Well, there's a history of a lot of NFL defensive coordinators taking a good year or two to get their feet under them, because defense is about buy-in and effort and all that. And sometimes that takes time to buy into the culture. So,
and the bottom line is Ohio State's going to be relying on a lot of young guys from last year who didn't play much, and guys from this year who are new recruits like Sayan. And the question is, you just don't know what you're going to get. I think Sayan's going to be a really good player, but is he going to be a really good player this year? We just don't know. And
they're saying a lot about. They're saying a lot about Lincoln Keyholtz is giving him a lot of competition.
Right.
Which is not a good sign. You want your quarterback to have firm control by now. But I will say Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are your wideouts. I mean,
you could throw to them.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, Tate was fantastic too. That's true.
I think their schedule's a little tough. They got Texas, Penn State, at Michigan, and at Illinois. I think Illinois is one of those scary teams you don't want to play.
Right.
So
the only team that is returning their quarterback from last year in the top 5 is Penn State. And they're considered a strong contender because they're bringing almost their entire roster back from last year's team that was a playoff contender on both sides of the ball.
Right.
So they bring a lot of experience compared to
that's not entirely true, because Arch Manning and Gunnar Stockton were certainly a part of their runs last year. So
well, that's true, but I'm just saying
they were in the middle of it. They played in games, important games.
Miller, who started the whole year, and he's got a lot more experience than these guys.
No question that being out there for the entire season is certainly more experience. But Arch Manning's not new in terms of learning how to put his helmet on.
Can James Franklin get it done? I mean, on the big Saturday in November when he's playing Ohio State, can he get it done? He hasn't yet. He's 0-6 against Ohio State. Can he do it this year? That's the question for me.
I don't know. They have 4 O-linemen returning, which is great for them. Good news. And they have 2 incredible running backs. So, they got Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. So they have a tremendous experience edge with the quarterback, running back stability, and offensive line stability.
Do they have the roster to do it? Yes. Will they do it? I just don't know. I have to see it,
And they brought in Jim Knowles, a defense coordinator from Ohio State. So
that's true.
That's going to be big. That's a huge benefit.
So some of your other teams you're looking at, Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson, Oregon, all of those should be in the mix for a playoff spot. They all should be in the mix for possibly a push for the Natty. All of them have some question marks around new quarterbacks, except for Clemson, of course, bringing back Klubnik. So, and all of them have key departures. Of course, Oregon had to replace an NFL quarterback. Notre Dame did as well. Georgia's bringing in a guy that is replacing the guy who transferred to Miami. And he did get a little bit of playing time last year, but is essentially pretty green. So it just feels like a lot of these big programs that we know are going to be good are working in a new quarterback in most cases. So
Yeah, but not new. Like I think Gunnar Stockton is pretty proven, for Georgia. So
I mean, kind of, although he came into a game last year when he was pressed into duty in the playoff and they lost. He did get some experience, but
yeah, but he's not going to be new, under the gun. What I like about Georgia, their schedule. They are only playing Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss, and they have 3 away games that are significant for the most part. Other teams have many more than 3. They had to go get in the portal wide receivers, which was a big deal. They've won 31 straight home games. So they're virtually unbeatable at home. So most of their big games this year are at home. So that's what I like about Georgia. What I don't like is that they have 4 new offensive linemen. That's terrible. It's really scary for them.
And they're wondering if their running back room is as good as it usually is.
Yeah.
We're going
They
to
do have a loaded roster. They have All-Americans all over the place.
No doubt. No doubt.
The question is, are these 5-star linemen going to pan out and take that step? Who knows? So
yeah,
probably, if you're going to be honest.
So one of the things is the impact of the transfer portal. We mentioned this a little bit earlier in the program, but teams like Tennessee and Boise State lost key players in the portal, while others like Texas Tech and Oklahoma have been really active in the portal and brought a lot of players in and rebuilt their rosters. So it's going to be really fun to watch in all these different conferences, which teams were hurt by it, which teams were helped by it, because clearly there was a lot of movement.
Clemson did a little transfer portal this year.
They did, and it was really surprising. They brought some linemen.
Yeah. He gave in. He's like, all right, here's what it is.
So as the preseason gets underway, headlines are dominated by significant changes to name, image, and likeness and the overall compensation landscape for student athletes. These changes stem from that June 2025 approval of House versus NCAA, which we talked about, which sets the salary cap at $20.5 million, but allows teams to pay their athletes directly. So it'll be really interesting as that evolves to see what it does this year. And then finally, the direct payments we just mentioned and revenue sharing, where you have this situation set up where teams can decide and structure their budgets around how much revenue they bring in, how much they want to put out, up to that 20.5% cap. Any other thoughts about that?
I think they're still evolving in these areas. There's the transfer portal and the questions that go along with that. They're going to have to address some of the restrictions that are going to be necessary. And then there's the how do you pay the players? And I think those things are really in the infant stages in getting resolved. But from a standpoint of a fan and a consumer of this sport, it's never been better than this. Like this is.
And you notice that they built in a little bit of a cap in that it can only increase 4% annually after this year.
Yeah, so they want to have some growth trajectory, stability.
Well, NCAA was trying to put in an annual increase cap so that this didn't get out of control, where it's going to, from 20 to 30 and then from 30 to 40. Schools can't handle that.
That's smart because it has been out of control. Think how quickly it's grown from we shouldn't pay players for the last 50 years to now having a $20-some million salary cap. I mean, that's over just a couple of years. Like that's escalating quickly.
You realize they're W-2 employees at the university now.
Yeah.
so they get benefits and everything. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Really crazy. So the finally thing here to talk about was interesting is that you now can have as many scholarships as you want. It's endless. So you can store guys at your school, but what you can't do is you can't store guys on your roster. So they've essentially allowed you to do as many scholarships as you want, but they've capped your rosters to smaller. It used to be you can go up to 95, and now you can go to 82. So I don't know how this is going to work for some schools who are trying to store players for the future, but
I'm okay with it because
yeah,
players have been empowered to go do what's best for them.
right.
Sitting, 7 layers deep on a team or waiting your turn to just get onto the bench you're not going to wait for that. You're going to go to a Western Carolina or a Northwestern or something just to get some playing time.
What I like about this is I would rather the scholarships to be endless because I want more
Yeah,
kids to get degrees.
yeah.
And
Get a
if you
college
see,
experience.
let's say you're a scout and you're at a game to watch a bunch of players, and you notice the kicker on the other team you're not watching, and he nails 6 field goals in the game. You're like, wow, that kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
You might take a flyer on him and give him a scholarship, but he might not make your roster first year as a freshman, but he still gets a scholarship. And that way you kind of store him for the future when you need a kicker. So it's going to be really interesting to see how teams do that. Maybe
No, I
Georgia
agree.
has 4 kickers in their pipeline.
It'll all be about balance. It'll all be about balance. Everyone's roster has to balance a little bit. If you have 5 All-Americans waiting for the same position, some's going to shake out. In the past, they would have just all stayed until these 2 guys graduated, and then these 3 move up and all
Yeah,
that. Those days are over. If you're the bottom 4 and 5, you're going to leave and you're going to go try to chase the bag, but more importantly, chase playing time, which lets you make tape, which lets NFL scouts see you, which gets you invited to the combine. So
right. I mean,
making tape is really what this is about.
we saw Jackson wait his time last year at App State, and then he's the guy this year. So, he
Right.
just waited behind the guy who, is now getting NFL tryouts, and now he's the guy. So,
Yeah.
in the situation of the kid that they give a flyer on and give him a scholarship, but are not going to give him a roster spot, that's fine. I'm all for people getting as many scholarships as they can get and get education. So,
I heard an interesting conversation that there's serious talk about getting rid of walk-ons, which is really sad because
mhm,
I heard Pat McAfee talking about it. And
mhm,
he talked about how it's a total disaster for football because one of the best camaraderie building, culture building things is when you give that guy a scholarship.
right.
Uh, and and it's about grit and creating a us versus the world mentality.
Yeah.
And you see the guy just working so hard trying to stay on the team and it encourages your stars. It encourages them to not take it for granted.
Well,
Um,
Jeff Reed was a walk-on at UNC, and then he goes on and wins 2 Super Bowl rings at
right,
Pittsburgh. So
right. There's
he
so
was a
many
walk-on.
examples of walk-ons who
Yeah,
worked really, really hard, and they were either an inspiration for the stars who were there, or
right.
they ended up going on and doing great things.
That's right. So looking at the preseason AP top 25, these are your 1 through 14 right here. Of course, Texas number 1 in the coaches poll, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Georgia 4, Notre Dame 5, Clemson 6, Oregon 7, Bama 8, LSU 9, Miami 10, Arizona State 11, Illinois 12, South Carolina 13, and Michigan 14. So any surprises there? Anybody who's too low, too high? Is this about right?
I think Arizona State's a little high, and
How do you like Miami this year with Carson Beck taking over
uh,
for Cam Ward? Because nobody saw Cam Ward coming last year either.
I think Miami is going to have. They have. Let's see.
And I
I
mean,
think they're going to be very effective at running the ball, and they are always have incredible defense. They got their defensive coordinator from Minnesota, who did a really nice job there, and their schedule is challenging, but not too much. They play Notre Dame, Florida, at Florida State, and at SMU.
mhm.
So I think 3 of the 4 of those are winnable. Florida is one of these teams that's incredibly unpredictable because they're so talented, but their quarterback is very injury prone. So like the second he goes out, they struggle. So
Do you think Carson Beck was smart to come back and smart to transfer to a different school? and give
I
it
think
some.
Carson Beck had to come
I
back.
think he had to, yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be a good fit with this team, but maybe, Mario Cristobal is going to do a good job with him, I think. Um, and he's got a lot of skill position players. I think that they were very active in the portal. They picked up a lot of big time players in the portal, and they had a good year last year. They were 10-3, so that helped with recruiting. They had a terrible loss to Syracuse, but I think Syracuse and Illinois were two of those sleeper teams last year. You didn't want to play, and I think Miami is going to have a solid season. They're not going to make a run really. They might make it into the playoff, but I probably doubt it. But they're going to be right there at the edge of the
Yeah.
ACC
I think
championship.
they'll be pretty good. They'll probably be 10-3, 9-4.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
will say some of these other teams have really good quarterbacks. ASU was the surprise team last year. They did lose Scatterbo, but their quarterback is back, and he was fantastic last year.
He was
Illinois
good. He was
Illinois
good.
has Altmaier, who was one of the really surprising guys last year.
Yeah,
He's a very good quarterback.
he was
Um,
fantastic.
South Carolina was able to lure Denoris Sellers to come back, and he's really
Yeah.
dynamic and really good. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to play South Carolina the way they were playing at the end of the year. And
No, and they have probably the best defensive end, Dylan Stewart, in the country.
yeah, and
South
then
Carolina,
Michigan
they're
is
beasts.
always good, and they have a really good program, and they have really good recruiting. So I don't know. I don't really have a problem with these 14. I might shuffle them up and down a tiny bit here and there, but
The thing I don't like about South Carolina is they have this defensive end that's absolutely unbelievable, but they have totally new, rebuilt defensive and offensive lines. That's really scary in the SEC. I don't like that at all. And listen to this last 7 games for South Carolina. You ready? At LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at
good.
Texas A&M,
Oh my
Coastal
God.
Carolina, which is the one easy one in there, and then Clemson.
Good Lord.
Yeah. At LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Coastal Carolina, and Clemson.
But you also
That's
have to look at it
ridiculous.
from the other team's perspective. None of them want to play South Carolina either. The way that
I know.
they're tough.
Lenora Sellers is fantastic,
Yeah.
and they have talent on that team. Remember, anytime you have offensive line and defensive line turnover, you might have opportunities to find better players.
I really like what Shane Beamer's doing with that program.
I do
I think
too.
he's really turned them around.
I do too. It's unfortunate that they had all this turnover at their lines, but they got a lot of.
You
They
can't tell
built on
me.
something pretty special last year, and I think they
I
can
like
do
that program a
they can
lot.
do
I'm rooting
more.
for them. I'm actually rooting for them. I
A
like them
lot
as
comes down to what they got with their linemen, really, on both sides of the ball. Did
although I
they
will
recruit what
say
they need or not?
you have to say that when he goes to bed at night, he probably has that schedule posted next to his bed and does lose sleep over
Yeah,
it. SEC schedule is just not fun. It's just
yeah.
brutal.
What I
Goodness.
like about Illinois is they have a pretty easy schedule. So,
So
um,
another team last year that was really fantastic and ended the year well was Ole Miss. They're at 15. They're a really solid team, very hard out.
yeah,
Now you got SMU that brings back Jennings and a bunch of players. They're going to be good again.
yeah,
Florida has a really nice program, and they kind of finished the year strong after a really bad start. Tennessee has a new quarterback, but a really solid program that's been doing well the last couple of years. They really have gotten back up in the top 20. We don't know what Indiana's going to be after that really surprising year last year and see if they're going to be any good this year. We just don't know. They're kind of new. Kansas State, they're picking to win the Big 12, so they should be a really solid program this year. A&M always gets a couple big wins in the SEC. We got Luke's Iowa State team, BYU. Texas Tech had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. They're a top 5 recruiting class. And then, of course, Boise now without Ashton Genty. So what are your thoughts about 15 through 25? Any problems there?
I'm going to tell you, we're going to wake up one day and A&M is going to be a national champion.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
The
surprised.
amount of money they have behind them is so ridiculous. It's only a matter of time before they're able to amass enough talent to go do it.
You think they could be a dark horse?
I think not necessarily this year, but they're building. It's not going to take long, and it's coming, and nobody's going to see it coming. I don't think. I mean, people aren't going to. They're going to be amazed that one day A&M is just going to be really good. And the reason is going to be straight up, they have money to pay players.
Right.
So
No, that's true. Any of these,
15. I mean, Ole Miss is going to be great. They were second in the FBS last year behind Ohio State on defense. So they obviously are incredible on defense. They're returning a lot of players. They had a lot of turnovers last year. If they can clean that up, Lane Kiffin's won double-digit games the last 2 years in a row,
right.
And at Ole Miss, that's kind of saying something because even though they have a little bit of a tradition, they haven't been a powerhouse. They've been in the SEC, playing really well, tough team, but not competing for national championships. And now that Lane Kiffin's there, doing a really good job of recruiting and developing. They're winning double-digit games every year, and they're in the mix. They're a very solid program.
The two teams last year that nobody wanted to play in the last like 6-7 games of the year were South Carolina and Ole Miss. Those two teams nobody wanted to play. And in the ACC, it was Miami and SMU. In the ACC.
Listen to Ole Miss's schedule. The major games they have: at Georgia, LSU, at Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Florida. I mean, God, out of those 5, that's got to be 3 losses, maybe 4.
You never get a break in the SEC. You never get a break.
Never get a break. Every now and then you throw a patsy in there, but
so
that's why teams will let up against Vanderbilt because they're thinking, "Oh, thank God it's Vanderbilt," but Vanderbilt has players,
So which of these teams under other receiving votes do you think could make their way up into the top 25 relatively quickly? You got Oklahoma, you got Missouri.
I'm saying Florida, if DJ Lagway can.
Well, Florida's already in the top 25. I'm talking about these under others receiving votes.
Outside top 25?
Yeah, like Oklahoma, Missouri, Louisville, USC, Auburn.
I think Oklahoma is going to take a step forward this year. I'm not high on Tennessee.
You're going to see Army maybe back up there like they were last year. You're going to see Georgia Tech.
Maybe.
Some of these schools might make
let's see who else.
You got Duke, Florida State. Maybe Kansas with that big back they've got coming back. He was great last year.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see which of these guys fall out. Some of the guys you just mentioned, Tennessee and others. And then
I think Utah came in last year with a lot of expectations, and they disappointed. And I think when they fly under the radar a little bit, they tend to be more sneaky good. And I think they're going to be sneaky good this year. Utah's going to be tough.
How's Colorado going to be without Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter?
Well, I think they got a lot of attention last year because of Deion and those players. But I don't think Deion can really put together, a top-tier team without.
So his bravado about now that Saban's gone, who's going to stop us? That was a little bit of bravado, right?
Yeah.
No, they're not a top 25 team, I don't think.
No. Yeah, no.
I agree. Well, let's look at the ACC. This is the preseason projections. They've got Clemson on top, followed by Miami and SMU, with Georgia Tech coming in 4th. Louisville, Duke, Florida State, UNC with Bill Belichick, Pittsburgh, NC State in 10th, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Boston College, Virginia, California, Wake, and Stanford at the bottom. So what do you
Probably about right.
What do you think about this? Who would you put up? Who would you put down?
I think Georgia Tech's a little high. I think NC State's a little low.
I think State will be 5th or 6th.
I think they'll be about 7.
Yeah, maybe 7.
I think Syracuse is a little low.
Can Carolina have a better year than this? Maybe.
They've always been disappointing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like Pitt's coach.
Do you agree with these top 3? I do. I think those are the 3 teams that have a chance.
I think so. I wouldn't put Georgia Tech in 4.
I wouldn't
put Louisville in 5.
I don't think 4 through 17 have a chance at the playoff. I think those top 3 have a chance at the playoff.
Yeah, I agree.
Look at it, yeah. So with Clemson, you got Cade Klubnik coming back. You have Joel Klatt saying he's the best quarterback in the country. He does have a lot of experience. Yeah. This is his 3rd full year starting now. What are your thoughts about Klubnik and Clemson's chances?
I love Clemson's chances. I mean, they have 16 starters returning. There's only 22 starters, so that's a loaded team. 4 O-line guys are coming back. They have a very balanced team as far as talent. It's not like offense is great and then defense is full of freshmen. It's really balanced. They had transfers. They had a really important transfer on the line. A D lineman from Purdue came in, and their schedule is not that hard. And I think Dabo is a really good coach. He develops his young guys. He's always working on the next layer down from the starters, like grooming them. And then look at their schedule. They play LSU and at South Carolina. I mean, that's it. Everything else is a
I was
cakewalk.
watching college football today on ACC Network, and they were breaking down each of the teams, and they were saying that one position group that nobody's talking about this year for Clemson is their wide receiver group.
Yeah,
They have 2 5-stars and 2 4-stars wide receivers.
I know. And why do you think they all
They're
stayed?
4 deep.
Because
They're 4
they
deep.
want, first of all, they don't have a lot of transfers out. That's number one. When you go to Clemson, you kind of go to Clemson old school where you're going for the 5 years. Like,
There's no
but think
ACC
about it.
school.
You're not going and looking for more money because you have a chance to play with Cade Klubnik in an easy division. So I think they have one of the easiest paths to the national playoff. You know what I mean? A playoff spot. They have one of the easiest paths to a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Because
No,
of their schedule.
I think so. And but I was just thinking, if they're 4 deep like that at receiver, where all those guys are NFL prospects, then there's nobody in the ACC and very few teams in the country that have DBs that can match up with that.
Right.
If you imagine Virginia's DBs against all those receivers.
And Tom, four returning starting linemen.
Oh my God.
They're going to block well for Cade Klubnik.
The one
Unless
thing I
he's
was
injured.
super surprised about Klubnik last year is, we knew Cam Ward and his explosiveness. We knew Arch Manning every time he got playing time, which wasn't often, but when he did, the one thing about Arch Manning is he can run like the wind. He runs like a running back. And I saw Cade Klubnik do that a couple of times last year. I couldn't believe it. He had long touchdown runs. And I thought it was a pocket quarterback. He's got some wheels. Really surprised me. So
Yeah, he does.
I really like Clemson this year. I think they're going to have a big bounce back year. I 100% think they're going to win the ACC and they're going to go to the playoff and make some noise. So, yeah, excited to see them play this year. Carson Beck transfers from Georgia to Miami. You already mentioned they have reloaded at Miami. They've got a really nice roster. They got a good coach. Carson Beck very much needs a bounce back year. He was very disappointing last year, as we saw on national TV in all their big games. Thoughts about Miami and their chances?
Well, I think they've got great skill position players, pretty soft schedule, although it's relatively hard for ACC. And the new defensive coordinator from Minnesota can get the turnover chain going. I think they might be okay. They definitely are going to run the ball effectively. And so that's going to take a lot of pressure off Carson Beck. And I think Beck was the starter at Georgia for a reason. Gunnar Stockton was a highly touted player, and Beck beat him out. I think Beck has a really good arm, and if you can control the turnovers, and it seems like there's something a little off
He's
mentally.
really talented, but he melts down in the big
Yeah,
games.
I think he melts down, but maybe you can kind of coach him up. I think Cristobal is a good coach for him.
This is his shot at the NFL this year. This is his
I
life.
really kind of like this situation for Beck. I think if Beck doesn't make it to the NFL, he tried as hard as he could.
And he had all the chances.
He had all the chances, and he went to all the right places to get looked at and make film and make tape and have scouts in the crowd. And if it doesn't happen, okay, so that's life, But I think Beck is doing all the right things. He comes with a little strangeness with the highfalutin, dating one of the Cavender twins, and then they break up, and Ferrari's stolen, and just weird stuff. But That doesn't really speak to who he is.
I think Cristobal can get something out of him this year. I
I
really
think
do.
Cristobal is really good at recruiting, and he was real active in the transfer portal. I think having Carson Beck coming in stabilized the quarterback position that really was missing Ward, and so I think they're pretty good. I think they get into the playoff,
Right.
but I don't know how they do. A lot depends on if they can stay healthy.
There might be one from the ACC or two. If two get in, then Miami's got a shot for sure.
I think Clemson and Miami are going. I don't know if a third team goes. I'm not sold on SMU, although they're good, but
And they're returning almost their whole team from last year that made the
yeah.
playoffs.
I
So
know that
speaking of,
Kevin Jennings. I read that he was so upset about the loss last year to Penn State that he watches the film over and over and over and over and over. So he sits there and punishes himself, but he says he's using it as fuel and motivation. So he's calling this. All of them are SMU's calling it the revenge tour.
by the way, Jennings is fantastic. I'm just letting you
Yeah,
know. The guy
yeah.
is, if you watched him play last year,
This is my
and
point. Is
I
the
don't,
quarterback class has guys like that in it, where that might be a second round guy, but he's
yeah,
probably gonna be a starter in the NFL.
that's right. This is exactly right. And do you think there's going to be a lot of fall off for SMU this year? I mean, nobody's going to want to play them.
I think they had a decent amount returning. I know that
They were a surprise last year, but they're not a surprise anymore to
their
anybody.
big games are Syracuse, at Clemson, and Miami. So I mean,
Yeah,
if they get 2 out of those 3, they're sitting pretty.
yeah, that's right. We'll see. I'm rooting for them. I really like Jennings and I like their whole
Yeah,
program. So last team here on the board is Haynes King and Georgia Tech. He had a decent year last year. They actually were kind of surprising, played pretty well. Their coaching staff's really, really solid.
yeah, they're good. I think though that if they're 4th best, this league's in a lot of trouble.
You think
You know
so?
what I mean? Yeah, I mean, what would the SEC's 4th best team do to them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Louisville's pretty good. Duke's pretty good.
I know, but all those teams will get annihilated by the 4th and 5th best team in the SEC
It's true.
or
It's true.
Big Ten.
This, as we said before, I think these top three are the only ones that have a shot at the playoff, as we
Yeah,
said. So
probably.
I think Georgia Tech has another solid year. They're
There
probably
could be one that sneaks up there
9-3.
unpredictably. Carolina could get up there and be like, because Carolina has 5-star guys,
Yeah,
so
they do. They do.
I'm not predicting it with Belichick. He's not a miracle worker, but
I don't think Florida State's going 2-11 again. I don't see that happening.
no.
It would be a little bit better. So, but we'll see. Be interesting to watch the ACC this year. I'm really hoping for a comeback for this conference in all sports. So,
I would like to see a little more success.
looking at the Big 12, you've got Kansas State picked to win the whole thing, Texas Tech, Arizona State, who had the surprising year last year, Utah, Baylor, Iowa State, TCU, Kansas, BYU, Houston, Colorado in 11th, which really surprised me how far down they are. Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Arizona, and UCF. And what amazes me when I look at this conference is the last 5 years, this conference has really grown into itself. This is a tough conference.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this year it might be a little bit down. I'm not really feeling a lot of these teams being super hyper competitive, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll see
They're
how
going
it
to get
plays out.
in probably one, maybe two into the playoff.
Yeah, probably
Probably
two.
two. Probably
Two.
two. And Texas Tech being a top 5 recruiting program, that's why everyone's putting them in second. Kansas State is really good, and they've returned a lot of players.
It's
Arizona
not a good sign for this conference if West Virginia is 14th.
Arizona State made the playoff last year, and they have their returning quarterback and running back.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they have their returning quarterback and wide receiver.
quarterback, not running back.
Yeah, running back graduated. So quarterback and wide receivers are back, and Utah's always tough. Iowa State's always tough. So I don't know. I'm going to be watching this conference. They really announced themselves last year. They had a lot of success. So Colorado in 11th was probably the most surprising in this list. And usually Houston's a little higher than this too. I'm used to them being kind of a little bit of a powerhouse there. So let's look at K-State. They've got Avery Johnson. He's back. He's the guy with the long hair.
Yeah.
Really solid player. Any thoughts about K-State, their ability to win this conference and go to the playoff?
Well, they're a very consistent team. I think this division's a little on the weak side. Not to disrespect it, I just think that there's an opportunity for a good team to go in there and run through it like a hot knife through butter. Let's see. Last year they had a lot of turnovers. They were -8 in their 4 losses in turnovers. I think if you clean that up on offense, their defense is amazing. So I really feel like their coach is really good at making that defense savage. And therefore, you take a quarterback in his second year, you clean up the turnovers, you put your team in much better positions to do well, and you get some consistency. That's a tough team. But I don't think they would win the SEC or the Big Ten.
No, I agree with that.
So,
but someone's going to go to the playoff, and probably two.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. I think they'll go. But
we'll see, because last couple of years, everybody they pick at the top of this conference, 1, 2, 3, all end up being terrible, and the guys who are 4, 5, 6 are the ones that come up. So
the hardest games Kansas State has are Iowa State, Texas Tech, and at Utah. That's not terrible.
No,
you could have a good 10-3, 11-2 record.
Right, and get in,
and easily get in.
I still feel like this conference is very unpredictable, and you'll see like a TCU or a BYU or somebody get up there that you weren't really expecting. It's just very unpredictable.
I think it's not great at the top, but I think that I wouldn't want to play BYU. I wouldn't want to play Iowa State.
I'm hoping Iowa State has a similar year to last year. The problem they had was they finished badly, but they had such a great start.
Yeah.
They were in playoff position the whole time.
I think the middle of this conference is pretty strong.
But
the top dogs are not good. Like, I don't think the national championship is coming out of this conference.
Even Kansas is a tough out. Nobody wants to play that.
Yeah. BYU.
Texas Tech has this kid, Baron Morton.
Yep.
He's really highly recruited, really great player, and they feel really solid about their roster. So there's several analysts who are picking Texas Tech to win this division. And
they're spending serious money in the portal. They did a lot of work in the portal. They were a top 5 offense last year in the country.
Any surprise if these guys win the conference this year?
No, because I think it's pretty open. It's pretty open. I think they have a lot of question marks on what they got in the portal, but I think it's looking pretty good, and they don't have a hard schedule at all. So it's just I think they might actually be the favorites in my mind.
I think you're right. I pick them over Kansas State.
They have an easier path. I think they have a little more talent, and
I like Texas Tech and Arizona State out of this division. I think Arizona State.
Texas Tech's offense.
Arizona State is returning that QB and that wide receiver core, and I think they're going to be really good again. So we'll see. So speaking of ASU, they're returning Sam Levitt, who played great last year.
Yeah,
another year of experience. And so they won't have Scadaboo, but they have a really nice program running now. And again, I like them to return. And then Utah has Devin Dampier is their QB this year. He beat out 2 other guys. They have a 3-deep situation at quarterback. Their problem has been the last couple of years they can't score points.
Yeah.
So apparently they've put a big emphasis in spring football and over the summer in putting in a whole new system to try to find ways to score more points. That's really their issue because they always have good defense.
They have good defense. They can run, but they don't put up a lot of points. Yeah, they got it. They're hoping that Dampier can not only be a running quarterback, but that he can develop the pass.
So I've got Texas Tech and Arizona State going from this division. Who do you have going if they have 2 in?
I have Kansas State and Texas Tech.
Okay.
So Arizona State, they have their head coach, their quarterback, Sam Levitt, and their main wide receiver. all returning. So that's some really good stability.
It is.
But I think that losing Cam Scadabo, who is the heart and soul of that team, who's throwing up on the sideline and go back in, and you just couldn't contain him. You couldn't.
By the way, he's taken that infectious energy to the Giants this year. It's going to be pretty fun.
He had the second most carries in Division I behind Ashton Genty. So he was a workhorse battering ram, and his team blocked hard for him. I think when you lose someone like that, you take a step back automatically. I like their schedule. It's very simple.
I really dislike
at Utah, Texas Tech, and at Iowa State. That's not unmanageable.
Not too
so
bad.
You could have a 2-loss Arizona State team, even though
I can't stand the Giants, Robbie. But
Arizona State will get wiped out in the playoff. But I think they might be able to make it.
They could make it in, yeah. I can't stand the Giants, but I cannot wait to watch Scadaboo play with the Giants this year.
Yeah.
See if he can batter or ram the NFL players.
Yeah, I mean, his family talked about how he used to run into telephone poles when he was a kid on purpose just to try and knock him over. Like he's just, he wasn't okay. He liked contact.
Let's go to the SEC. We got Texas 1, Georgia 2, ranked number 4, Alabama 3, LSU 4, South Carolina 5, Ole Miss 6, Florida, Tennessee, Texas A&M, OU, Mizzou, Auburn, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, UK, and State. And what's amazing about this is, think about it, all teams except for 2 are in the top 50 teams. And they have 4 in the top 10. And they have, 9 in the top 21. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So any problem with the way this is ranked here in preseason for SEC?
Not really. I think people are overlooking Alabama a little bit.
You think?
Yeah.
I think they might have another down year, and I think DeBoer might.
I think they're going to have a decent year. I'll tell you why. DeBoer is going to put in the time. He's a worker. He's a winner. He builds up programs. Second, Ryan Grubb was his offensive coordinator that was with him for 8 years, and he wasn't with him last year, and he's coming back. So he's going to be a lot more effective. Even with that, you have both offense and defensive lines completely loaded with starters coming back, and their defense was a top 10 defense last year. Mm-hmm. So you have the offense is going to improve, and the defense is solid, and everyone's really not talking about them. So they're kind of getting a little chip on their shoulder. So while they may not intimidate a lot of people, I don't think they're going to sneak up on some people.
Their biggest question mark is quarterback. Everyone in the SEC.
Ty Simpson is a question mark, but if he's pretty good, they're going to bulldoze a lot of people because they have one of the top 2 wide receivers in the country, Ryan Williams, and there are NFL prospects everywhere, probably deeper on this team than any other team in the country. Mm-hmm. There are candidates all over both sides of the ball.
I would put LSU over them. I'd put LSU 3rd and Bama 4th. And then I like the rest of this order. I like South Carolina next, then Ole Miss. Those 2 teams are going to be really a problem for people. So I think this looks pretty good. And I'd probably put A&M over Tennessee. Probably switch them.
See, Ty Simpson he was a 5-star quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He waited 3 years for his start. We don't know what he is, but he knows the system. This is not new for him.
True.
He's been there 3 years. He waited.
That's true.
Nowadays, that's very uncommon.
He's like Mac Jones. Remember, Mac Jones waited for 3 years.
He's like Mac Jones. He's gonna walk in there and nothing's gonna phase him because he's gonna have been there for so long.
That's right.
So, Alabama's schedule: they're at Georgia, at South Carolina, at Auburn, LSU, and Oklahoma. So that's a pretty hard schedule.
For sure.
But they should roll over Auburn. They should beat South Carolina.
You could see about 3 losses on that schedule probably.
Oklahoma's improving, and I think LSU might actually struggle a little bit. I think a lot of people are calling for good things from LSU, but I'm not sure. I definitely like I like pieces of LSU. Obviously, Nussmeier is huge for them, but
Mm-hmm.
Brian Kelly, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree
They
with
did
that.
a lot in the portal. They had the number 1 ranked portal class in the entire country.
Right.
But to me, that's always iffy because can you make them gel in 1 year? So I don't know. I don't know. The
So
offense is loaded. We'll see about defense.
looking at Texas, Arch Manning, of course, the highly touted recruit. He's waited his time. He waited behind a prospect who's actually on the Dolphins now. And he got some nice playing time last year when he did come in. He made some really nice plays and did some nice things. We don't really know what he's going to look like as a full starter playing every single play. So that's going to be a new experience for us all to watch, especially in that first game of the year against Ohio State. Really solid defense. What is your thought? Can Arch Manning deliver this year?
I think so. I think so. He has a lot of pressure on him, but at the same time, if he's coming back next year, he kind of has less pressure on himself. He's completely loaded with talent around him. Um, it's really hard to think about a better situation for him. I mean, they always have
Just
good.
have to get it to the playmakers. I mean, it's
Texas
basically.
always has good running backs.
Mhm.
They have incredible defensive leadership. Their defense was top 3 last year and going to be good again. So Texas was unbelievable on defense, and they have Wingo at wide receiver, and they just have a lot of skilled position players. They always have an NFL running back 100% of the time.
And when he gets in trouble, he can run the ball. He's really
And he
quick.
can run 22 miles an hour when he needs to, which is unbelievable. So
Mhm.
he is a perfect candidate for them to make a nice run. You can't anticipate injuries. I think that could stop them, but I don't
Mhm.
think they get stopped through normal situation. I think Sarkisian is a very good coach,
Mhm.
and I think he's really good at mentoring Arch, and I think Arch is the perfect leader for a team.
Sure.
He's willing to wait his time and wait his opportunity and work hard and be humble. None of this stuff seems to be going to Arch's head at all.
True.
And they said everyone who knows him behind closed doors said that he's the most humble guy on the team. You know, the Mannings have made sure that he gets raised right. So
And he has really good coaching and counseling at home with his uncles and his dad and his
right.
grandfather. And he has,
And on top of that, apparently he's got extremely intense competitiveness,
mhm,
which comes, that's pumping in their blood as Mannings.
for sure.
He's got that. So we'll see. I think some people are waiting for him to fail because there's so much pressure on him, and he was such a highly touted recruit.
I think
But
he's going to do
honestly,
well.
I don't think he's gonna. I
He's
don't
going
think
to do
he's.
well.
I
I
think
think
he's
so.
gonna do well. I think
He's got the pedigree.
he's got a
All
great
of it.
situation. His schedule's tough at Ohio State, at Florida, at Georgia. Those are
So,
murder. But if you
so,
can
num-
if you can pick off one of those, you're good.
so number two, Georgia, you already mentioned Gunnar Stockton a couple times. He had to come in last year in the playoff in a really high pressure situation when Carson Beck got hurt. It was kind of almost unfair to him, even though he's a highly touted recruit. They ended up losing the game. He looked kind of out of place because it was a very high pressure situation. What do you think we can expect from Gunnar Stockton this year? He's had the full spring, he's had the whole training camp. He should be ready. Georgia's going to be stacked.
I think they're going to be good. They were really active in the portal. Last year, they led the country in drop passes. The wide receiver core was pitiful. And I think that they're going to be much improved. They have a very easy schedule. They only have 3 real away games. And they have one of the easiest paths to the playoff, I think, which is hard to believe in the
Mhm.
SEC, but
That's true.
they have to play Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss. That's tough, really tough. But it's not like seven games long. The
You
list.
know, it wasn't really fair that he was pressed into duty in that situation. It really wasn't for him. I don't feel like
I
we
thought he
really.
played fine. He
I
played
thought he
fine.
played okay. He played okay.
They
Uh,
kept dropping the ball. The receivers kept dropping the ball.
but
That was really hard to watch.
I don't know what he's going to be. So we're just going to have to watch. I think he could be really good, but just going to
I
have to
think
see.
he's going to be a good, solid quarterback, and I think that their team is loaded. And Kirby Smart's a really good coach. They have All-Americans everywhere, and people might take them a little lightly, which would be a big mistake.
So you're saying nobody's going to want to play them?
Nobody wants to play Georgia. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to play Georgia.
that's right.
They always have linemen that look like NFL. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they end up in the NFL anyway.
I'm excited to see this guy and this team play because they're in a little bit of reloading mode, which they're doing
Yeah.
well. So.
They are reloading. They have 4 new offensive linemen, so that's scary, but
So Alabama's got Ty Simpson. You mentioned him earlier, highly touted recruit, waited behind other guys for 3 years.
yep.
Essentially going to probably be a 1-year starter.
Mm-hmm.
Could come back next year if he wants to. But what are your thoughts about Ty? Are you glad he hung in there? Can he get it done?
Well, I think he was a 5-star recruit. He's got a lot of potential. He's surrounded by incredible talent. Ryan Williams is one of the most exciting wide receivers I've ever seen in college. So that's what's exciting too is Ohio State and Alabama have 2 sophomores, like 1 sophomore on each team, that are as exciting as any wide receivers I've seen in college. So that's good stuff.
Do you think Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams are both going to be top 10 picks one day?
Top 5 picks, I
Top
think.
5 picks.
Yeah. I think both of them are top 5 picks unless they have an injury.
Yeah. Fantastic. So do you think DeBoer in his second season's already on the hot seat, like some people are saying? I mean, they don't do very well with 8 and 4 seasons.
Yeah. They had under 10 wins for the first time since 2007. They pretty much were always more than 10 wins under Saban. So there's a lot of pressure on DeBoer, but his buyout is outrageous, so they have to stick with it. They got to realize that they're going to have to win different ways now because they don't have a tremendous amount of NIL.
Well, and they don't have the deep roster they used to have in Georgia.
Well, there's not. Well, the reason is there's not a lot of money at Alabama. It's not a rich program. So, in terms of money, so they've been recruiting well because Saban was there, and he was an excellent recruiter and a good teacher of men. So, as soon as he leaves and they have that money problem, that's an issue. But I think Kalen DeBoer builds programs. He has a good track record of building programs.
I really think that's why Saban left, is for the money.
I don't know about that.
He saw the
boost. He was
program.
tired. I think he wanted to spend time with his family, and I think he had personal reasons.
And
I think some of that has subsided, and now he's bored. So now he's thinking about coaching again. But I don't think it was purely about money.
He also saw the system that was coming, and he didn't like it. He didn't like all this.
Yeah, he didn't like how weird it was going to get for about 5 years.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't want to coach for 5 more years, so I'm just going to bail out now.
For Alabama fans who are totally into this team, and it's like a religion for them. This is a prove-it year for DeBoer. I really believe that. He's got to do better than 8 and 4.
Let me tell you this. If Saban comes back and coaches NFL, then he did not approve of what was going on in the college level. And if he doesn't ever come back and he just sits behind the TV monitor, then it could have been just, hey, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to be on a plane going to recruiting trips all over the country for 9 months out of the year.
He didn't need the money, and he wanted to see his wife, and he wanted to spend time with his grandkids.
Yeah.
So next one is LSU with Garrett Nussmeier. A lot of people are saying he's the best quarterback in the country. Of course, that's a debate. There's about 5 guys in that category. But
there's about 15 good quarterbacks in
you
college.
were saying that they may have a down year because of the Coach Kelly. He's been kind of disappointing at LSU. I'm in the camp that they already had their down year, and that was last year, and that they're going to have a nice rebound this year. They always have amazing wide receivers. They always have weapons all over the field. They have huge linemen. And I think Nussmeier is a special quarterback. And so I see them making the college football playoff. I really think they're going to have a great year.
Well, they certainly could be good with the way they had the number 1 portal class. LSU really did a lot of work in the portal. They've got a freshman kid who's a corner. His name's DJ Pickett. He's 6'4", cornerback. He's a big-bodied corner who's a sprinter. So he's got NFL written all over him. So remember that name, DJ Pickett, freshman. And then, they've got other players. They got returning Caden Durham at running back and Aaron Anderson at receiver. Those guys are going to be huge, huge factors. So there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful. If you're LSU, you just got to worry about your defense. Your defense has to stand up to Texas and Georgia and Alabama.
I think they will definitely have a rebound year. Alabama is, TBD whether they have a rebound year. We'll see. I will say, Robbie, what is it like to play in the SEC every week?
Brutal.
Good Lord.
It's brutal.
Play all these guys.
Who is it? Ole Miss?
Yeah, Ole Miss, SC. Let's look at the
How
Big
about
Ten.
Look at Florida. Florida has at LSU, at Miami, Texas, at A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee.
Good Lord.
How do you do that?
I don't know. Let's take a look at the Big Ten preseason projections. You got Penn State on top, which surprised some people, with Drew Aller and the whole team coming back. Ohio State 2 with their many players that left. Oregon at 3, having to replace Dylan Gabriel. And they did so with a really solid guy. And then Illinois with Altmaier coming back and a really solid team. Had a good year last year. Michigan, a really solid program. Indiana had that surprising year last year. Iowa, Nebraska, USC, Washington, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Rutgers, UCLA with Nico, who transferred from Tennessee, Maryland, Northwestern, and Purdue. So thoughts about this order? Anybody you think's too high up, too low, or just about right?
See, now this conference is heavy at the top. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon.
The top 6 are really good.
Illinois, Michigan, Indiana. Do you want to play Indiana? No, you don't. Not anymore. Iowa's good.
Yeah, Cowherd talks about this conference all the time, that it has surpassed the SEC, and it might have money-wise.
Maybe.
But it's not as deep. I'm sorry. It's just not. No.
It's not.
Nebraska's okay. USC's just okay. Minnesota,
Below Iowa, it drops off a lot.
Yeah. Wisconsin, Rutgers. Yeah, I like those top 6 the way they are. I think that's exactly right. Maybe Michigan over Illinois, maybe. Iowa's pretty solid, and then you're right. After that, it really drops out.
Drops off after Iowa.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
It really does. Any of these guys who are 10 through 18 could be a sleeper? Maybe Washington.
Yeah. Minnesota lost its D coordinator. That's going to hurt them.
You notice they rank 2 teams as 13s.
No, you know who I think could be sneaky good is USC.
USC, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they're recruiting well again.
Right.
I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying that wouldn't shock me. It'd surprise me.
They have a little bit of a coach who's a little bit on a hot seat. I mean, he went there, supposed to be winning the Big Ten every year, and they've been really struggling. So I got to kind of think.
Well, the Big Ten went and got a lot better on them. So
they added all these teams. They added Oregon and all these great teams. Washington.
Yeah. Illinois snuck up there, and they're good again.
So looking at Penn State, they got Drew Aller and almost the entire roster coming back. This is why a lot of teams are picking them as their national championship kind of preseason favorite. Any thoughts about the Nittany Lions?
The fact that Knowles was brought in is a huge deal for defensive coordinator. I think that not only does it hurt their opponent, their rival, but it helps them tremendously and really helps them stabilize their defense. And they have 2 good running backs, and Drew Aller played steady, really well. And he's returning. So 4 offensive linemen have returned. And
now what about the loss?
Their schedule's not that bad. Their schedule's not bad.
What about the loss of Abdul Carter? Because he was the one who got all the pressure last year.
It's going to be horrible trying to replace him. But it's Penn State. You're going to have another guy ready to go. Somebody else who's really good. Maybe it's a linebacker or something, who knows. But you can't replace an Abdul Carter. But if you have a guy learning from Abdul Carter, maybe he's a little better than he would have been if he hadn't. So,
how does this school produce Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter within 4 years of each other? That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're becoming pass rusher U.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. I think they're going to be super good this year. They'll definitely be in the playoff. Whether they win the whole thing, we'll see. But they're going to be knocking on
James
the door.
Franklin does a nice job with the talent he has. In the past, he hasn't always had the best players, like the top elite, and he gets in there and competes every year with them. So
What's crazy is Ohio State is looking at Michigan having lost 4 straight to them, and they circle Michigan every year. Well, Penn State circles Ohio State every year.
I know.
And James Franklin has got to beat them one of these years. He just has to. And I think this is the year. He's got to beat them.
Yeah, they said that last year.
He can't go his whole career without beating them. So, yeah, he's got to get it done. Let's talk about Ohio State. They've got this freshman kid coming in, Julian Sayin. He's getting pushed by another kid in camp right now, but the thought is that he's the 5-star, and he's going to start. Ohio State has not started a freshman since Justin Fields. And what are your thoughts about Ohio State losing 14 starters? Can they reload? Can they do it? Can they be relevant this year?
They have a lot of turnover in their coaching ranks. That makes me nervous. They definitely have talented players at wide receiver and all around the quarterback. I don't want to just chalk up inexperience at the quarterback position equals not a good team, but that could be a challenge for them, a struggle. Their schedule is decently hard, and they did well in the transfer portal. I think having an NFL defensive coordinator is a little scary, and that traditionally that has taken a little time to work.
Mm-hmm.
So they might be good defensively by the end of the year or something, but we'll see.
Right. I think they're going to be good. I think there'll be a slight fall off. They'll probably have 2 or 3 losses, which they're not used to. And I think Sayin might even have a little bit of a rough start. He may even look kind of rough in that first game against Texas. But I think he'll be a very good player, but kind of hard to expect him to go up against number 1 Texas in his first game.
It's tough.
Yeah. We'll see. See how they do in their return. Dante Moore takes over from Dylan Gabriel in Oregon. Oregon is one of those powerhouse programs that's good every year. They have a lot of money behind them. They're the number 4 most lucrative and coffer-filled team right now. Of course, they have the Nike Corporation also behind them. So I don't expect a big fall off. They've got good coaching staff. What are your thoughts about Oregon? Can they find their way into the playoff?
The strength of this team is its defense, but they lost 18 starters.
Yeah.
They're completely turning their roster over. And if you think about it, 22 players start normally, and 18 of them have changed. So that's a really scary spot to be in. Luckily, you're Oregon, and the money you have brings in players that are top notch and the elite. So you're getting 5-star players coming in. The question is, can they gel? Has spring camp helped them enough? Are they gonna be able to pull it together quickly enough? I don't hate their schedule. At Penn State, Indiana, at Iowa, and USC.
It's not too bad.
Not terrible, no.
So, of course, their biggest win last year was against Ohio State at Oregon. That was an amazing game, by the way, 32-31.
Yeah.
I watched that game. It was fantastic. Do you think a team this inexperienced with this many new starters can pull off a big game like that this year? Because that's what it's going to take.
They can, but I'm not betting my house on it.
Gotcha. I agree.
Would it shock me? No. I mean,
it would not shock me if they find their way somehow into the playoff. I think
they're going to get in the playoff.
They've gotten to be one of those powerhouse programs that just reloads every year.
I think the reason they're going to get in the playoff is they're loaded. I like Lanning, and their schedule's not very hard.
Right.
So those things really play in their favor.
You talk about schedule this year, it's actually more important than almost anything else. It really is.
It's one of the most important factors.
Yeah. So Illinois brings back a guy who just took the league by storm last year. Nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
Illinois has always been a basement team.
Yeah.
And this kid, Luke Altmaier, is going to be a high draft choice, first or second round. And he's 6'5", and he's just a stud. So thoughts about Illinois sitting in fourth place?
So they have 16 starting or returning starters, 16. Lots of stability there. Altmaier was amazing. And they were a really tough team to play against. They had a lot of transfers in on defense. So if they can solidify their defense quickly, they can have a really special year. Their schedule is super conducive to making the playoff. They only have to play Ohio State, Indiana, and USC. That's not bad at all.
So Joel Klatt is projecting 4 teams from the Big Ten to get in. So I do think they're well positioned. They've got the quarterback, they've got the team, they've got a coaching staff, they can run the ball.
Illinois is more likely than
Oregon,
Michigan, or Indiana, I think.
Probably so.
Only because their schedule, not because they're better than them.
Probably so. You're right, though. Their defense is the question mark this year.
Yeah, but they had a lot of transfers, very successful in the transfer portal. And whether it translates into solid defense is a question at the moment. But I don't think there's any question about their offense.
Right.
They're going to be tough.
True. So Michigan is starting a freshman, Bryce Underwood. He was a 5-star recruit. He's also been pushed in spring practice and over the summer, but it's looking like projected he is going to start. Really highly touted, recruited guy. I could not believe this when I saw this the other day. He had 62 offers, scholarship offers.
Yeah.
And he essentially took Michigan because they had the highest NIL deal packaged up for him. He's making $4 million as a freshman. It's incredible.
That's crazy.
What do you think about this program? They're very solid. They've got a very good coaching staff, always can run the ball. They're bringing this kid in. They did not have a quarterback last year, but this year they do.
I think it's very, very iffy. I think they might be good or they might not. There's a couple things working against them. Number one, they were one of the lowest teams in the country. They had the lowest throwing results of any team in Division I except for the academies.
And what was incredible is they still won 7 games and they still beat Ohio State.
They still won a lot. Their defense was by the end of the year, their defense under Wink Martindale was the best defense in the country.
Yeah.
So Michigan's defense is going to be strong.
So if you take Michigan's defense and you add an actual quarterback, they didn't even have a quarterback last year. If you have
we'll see though. Like, do they have enough talented wide receivers? Do they have enough talent on offense? So
do you think Underwood eventually, maybe not this year, but eventually will be good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think they'll be down for very long. I don't think they make the playoff this year.
I think that's right. Yeah, I agree with that. But I do think
a lot of people do think they're on the verge of making the playoff. I personally don't. I love their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. And they have a new offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey. So if that guy does a really good job, they might have something there.
This is a good year for him to get a lot of experience, Bryce Underwood. And then going into his second year, they'll probably be one of the top 2 or 3 teams.
I agree.
Big Ten.
I agree. The biggest shadow over them right now is Sharon Moore. Is he going to be suspended more than the games that he self-suspended himself?
I did see that. Mm-hmm.
They might suspend him more games. They're talking about it. So that would be a very disruptive force, you know.
But I will say he has proved to be a fantastic recruiter. So
I will say also schedule's pretty conducive. At Oklahoma, at USC, and Ohio State, that's not too bad.
Right.
That's not too bad.
So let's talk about the team that literally caught lightning in a bottle last year. Nobody saw it coming. They were the basement dwellers of the Big Ten every year. And then out of nowhere, this new coach comes in from JMU and takes over Indiana, brings in 32 guys from the portal, and picks up a top 3 finish in the Big Ten. Then they now this year have to go with a new quarterback. Fernando Mendoza has won the job. So thoughts about Indiana? Can they repeat what they did last year? Is it going to be anywhere close?
I think so. Mendoza transferring in from Cal. He's got some experience. Um, let's talk about Kurt Signetti. I think he's one of the top 4 best coaches in the country.
I think so too.
His record is 130-37. He said, "Google me, look me up, I win." He's not kidding. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where he's been, he's won. He's winning
That's
at
true.
Indiana. Nobody wins at Indiana.
Yeah. And
In
he said,
college
I want to
football.
make us a destination program. And he's doing that. He's making them a destination program.
Right.
It's
Right.
just incredible in football.
They have really good skill position players and transfers.
Mhm.
They're just a nice program. They have 3 All-American candidates on defense.
Mhm.
All-American candidates. I mean, they're pretty loaded, and their schedule's not that hard at Iowa, at Oregon, and at Penn State.
So can they push up into that rare earth again and get up into that top 3 spots again
I
like they
think
did
their
last year?
schedule
Is it
affords
possible?
them that possibility, yeah.
Is
If they have
Mendoza good enough?
hiccups, then they'll be out, but if they have a nice clean year where let's say they lose to just good teams, just the top 10 teams, they'll be in the playoff, you know?
Is Mendoza good enough to get that done? That's the question.
That's a good question.
That's what we don't
But
know.
I think Signetti gets his team to play above their level. That's
Mhm.
why he's such a good coach. That's why all he does is win. He really that's what he does.
Yeah.
Um, and they're loaded. They have a loaded team. They got really good transfers. They've kept a lot of their players,
Mhm.
and they just have a nice group that he builds. No matter if he's at JMU or anywhere else.
Mhm. That's right. Well, let's look. There's only 2 independents left. One is Notre Dame. They've got Blake Hebert this year starting at quarterback. They've had 5 straight seasons of a guy starting essentially one season. So they've had a lot of turnover at quarterback, but obviously it hasn't hurt them because they're always kind of in that top 5 position. Thoughts about Notre Dame, one of the best recruiting classes in the country. I think it was ranked number 3 this year. They just keep bringing in talent, and it's crazy. The tight ends, the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, they had the 7th best recruiting class. They have a lot of returning players. They have really good coaches. And actually, it was surprising to me in my research. Marcus Freeman actually has a higher grade of players get graded on their capabilities, and Freeman averaged 91.5 for each of his players, and Chip Kelly had a 90 rating for each player coming in. So
Mhm.
he's recruiting better than Chip Kelly, and everyone was afraid recruiting was going to fall off when Freeman took over. So
Well, he's a fantastic coach, by the
he's
way.
an amazing
Yeah,
recruiter,
yeah.
and that's where people underestimated him.
He
Really,
is. He
he's
is.
a really good coach. He does all the fundamentals. I feel like he's taken Notre Dame to the next level.
I do too.
I
I think
feel
it's a
like
better program than him.
they're in the top 6 every year now in my mind.
Right.
They're in that should make the Final Four kind of game.
So last year they lost in the final, so they went all the way there.
Yeah.
Would you be more shocked this year if they make the playoff, or would you be more shocked if they don't make the playoff?
If they don't make the playoff, they have a very easy schedule.
Me
They
too.
play at Miami, they play Texas A&M and Syracuse.
I
That's
think
it.
if they don't make the playoff this year, it's a monumental failure. That's the
It's
way
a
I look.
monumental failure because they couldn't have an easier path in terms of their schedule.
And they have a really good team. So
And they have a really good team, and they
yeah,
deserve to be there. So
yeah.
they should steamroll a lot of teams because they're going to be playing a lot of patsies. Um, they play people like NC State and stuff, and those aren't patsies, but they should win most of those games, and they should find themselves in a very low number of loss situation, and they should be considered, you know, let's say number 5 or 6 in the country.
That's true. Agreed. So the last independent here is UConn. They had a very surprisingly good year last year. They were the kind of bottom of the barrel program for many, many seasons, but they've started to improve. They've got this really fantastic dual threat guy who used to be a running back and now he's a quarterback, Donovan Williams. Any thoughts about UConn? Can they make any noise? They've got a relatively easy schedule, it looks like.
Pretty easy schedule. I don't think they can make the noise. I don't think they have the talent level on what I've seen on their roster. They'll definitely have a good running game, and I
They're
don't know.
not a joke like they used to be. I mean, they really
No,
have
no, they're
become
a good
a little
team
more
now. They're just
solid.
not. They're not elite.
Right. Right. Agreed. I don't think they're a playoff contender. I agree with you, but I like where that program's going. I think it's getting more and more solid.
They kind of remind me of the typical ACC decent team.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a
Mhm.
Louisville. They
Are,
don't really
are,
have any business being in the playoff, but they might be flirting with it all year.
are both of these teams eventually going to be forced to join a conference? I think the answer is yes. I don't see how they can continue to. I mean, it used to be you had 10 independents. Now you've got two.
I don't think they'll be forced to. I think they'll want to. Something will come up
Yeah.
that it becomes an advantage.
Right. Well, revenue sharing for one.
I think until it's an advantage, I
Because
think
Notre
they,
Dame has their own
yeah,
TV deal, so of course they don't want to do it, but UConn
yeah.
doesn't. So
If I'm UConn, I'm joining it. I'm trying to join the best conference I can.
for sure. Because they can't have a very good revenue stream right now, I wouldn't think.
No, they don't have TV deals and all that.
Right. So let's look at the Vegas preseason odds to win the Natty. Early favorites are Ohio State and Texas, both with odds of plus 500 and plus 550, according to the sports books. And right behind them are Georgia and Penn State. So those are your top four, as you see there below, in terms of odds. Other teams to watch: Oregon is fifth, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and LSU. So essentially, we've talked about the top nine. Joel Klatt talked about it. He thinks any of these nine can win it. And you said you thought even maybe beyond these nine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I
thoughts
think
about
there could be
these
some other
odds.
teams in there.
If you were to walk up to the window right now,
I think Florida, if Lagway stays healthy, has a shot.
so that could be a dark horse for sure.
Only if he stays healthy.
What about like a South Carolina?
Maybe.
Yeah. There's a couple teams that are kind of outside that top 10 that I think could have a chance.
Yeah.
It's
They just had
interesting.
such a huge turnover in defensive line. It makes me nervous.
I personally like looking at the odds even more than the polls because the odds are where people are putting their money, and that
Yeah,
usually is a much better indicator, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
So, other important considerations to look at when looking at your odds: quarterback play, obviously, is very crucial in college football.
Yeah.
Teams with strong quarterbacks have a chance. Ones that don't, do not. And that's why, as you saw, Rob and I, on some of the teams we just reviewed, were a little uncertain about the quarterback situation, which is why we don't give them a huge chance of winning the whole thing. Also, recruiting.
But one thing I've learned is an unknown quarterback doesn't mean he's not going to be good. You know what I
True.
mean? Like
True.
Rourke from last year, guys like that, they came out of nowhere. Nussmeier. There are a lot of quarterbacks that come along, and when you look back at them, you're like, oh, they were great, but they were unknowns until they were known. So
Mhm.
there's going to be a handful of quarterbacks that we're kind of scoffing at right now, or saying never heard of, or he's a freshman, or who are going to be phenomenal,
Mhm.
and really light it up and make good plays and
Right.
be that and show why they were 5 stars,
Mhm.
So
Other important aspects here to think about: recruiting, consistent recruiting
yeah,
levels, and then coaching. Coaching, I think, is important at both the NFL and college level, but even more important at the college level. These kids are just coming up, just gaining skills, and they can really round them into shape. And you see that really great programs have really great coaches. It's just as
yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, these players are a little more impressionable.
Let's look at the odds for the Heisman. So if you walked up to the window in Vegas right now, this is what you would pay for Arch Manning, plus 600 to plus 700. Nussmeier right behind that, 800 to 900. Cade Klubnik at third, 900 to 1100. Jeremiah Smith is the only non-quarterback on the list at 1200 to 1700. You got Drew Aller, Nico, who's now with UCLA, Julian Sayin, Lenora Sellers, and Dante Moore. So that's how the odds look right now in Vegas. So what do you think? Who would be like your top 2 or 3? Do you have
I think it could be Manning. I think that they're going to overanalyze everything he does, and there's going to be things that work against Manning, but I think his team's going to be really good. And so,
I think these top 4
his biggest competitor is a question mark, Julian Sayin. So I think Nussmeier and Klubnik are going to make a good run. I definitely think Klubnik's going to have a good year. I think Clemson's going to surprise some people. So I don't think Aller's going to be in the mix for Heisman, but
I like these top 4 as the top 4. I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
I think these are the best 4 players in college football.
I don't think Jeremiah Smith's going to win the Heisman. I think it's really hard for a receiver who doesn't touch the ball on every play.
My deep dark horse, both as a player and a team, is Lenora Sellers in South Carolina. That's my deep dark horse.
Maybe.
Just the way they finished last year, the way they looked. They're going to win a lot of games.
They have a lot of talented players.
That's true.
Probably the best defensive pass rusher in the country, but there are holes on that team.
The only other player not on this list, you mentioned him earlier, and that's Williams for Alabama. He could be somebody who just come out of nowhere and have one of the greatest wide receiver seasons ever.
Yeah.
But that's going to require his new quarterback to be good.
That's right.
We just don't know. All right, so our subscriber challenge of the night, 2-part question, and we're going to go on record. Which college football team will win the Natty? That's question 1. And then 2 is, who is your dark horse? And it doesn't have to be on this list. It can be a different team that's not on this list. And we want to hear from you guys. Drop us a comment. Who's going to win the Natty and who is your dark horse? And then we will come back and look at this broadcast at the end of the season. So, Robbie?
I think it's going to be Texas against Clemson.
Okay.
I think Texas is going to win.
You do?
Think so.
Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've got Clemson winning the whole thing. I think they're going to have that big a season. I think this is
really
Dabo is just going to be on fire this year. I really believe it. I think they have the easiest path to the college football playoff. I think they'll be the least injured. They'll have the least nicks.
That's the thing. Like, does it not get them ready, or does it let them go in healthy? That's the gamble.
They essentially have to win one huge game, and it's going to be the semifinal, the national semifinal. They got to figure out how to win that game because that'll be against like Texas or Ohio State or Penn State, something like that.
Yeah.
So I like Clemson as the winner. My dark horse is South Carolina. What about you, Robbie?
My dark horse is Florida.
Okay.
If Lagway stays healthy.
Okay.
If he doesn't stay healthy, so scratch Florida. They're done. Their schedule is so hard. They can't win without Lagway. So if he even tweaks his eyelash, they probably can't win. But just keep an eye out for him.
True. Guys, drop us a comment on this 2-part question. Tell us what you think. All right, so last slide for tonight, and that is, let's look at the first weekend slate of games. Look at this, Robbie.
Incredible.
ABC, ACC Network, Big Ten Network, CBS, ESPN, ESPN2, Fox, FS1. I mean.
By the way, there was a week, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was week 7. That was so unbelievable that you're just going to be in front of the TV the whole weekend. Like, that's
what's
a guarantee.
amazing is you could just leave it on ACC Network and you would have 7 straight great games, including Virginia, by the way.
Yeah.
And you just, I don't know how you do it. What do you do here? Like, how are we going to cover this?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of football. We got to get up to speed.
I do know that we'll be watching Fox at noon because that's Texas Ohio State. We will be watching that one.
Yeah.
Then you got Alabama FSU in the 3:30 window. You got LSU Clemson in prime time. What a great game that is.
Yeah.
I mean, Clemson could be out week 1 if they lose to LSU potentially.
I see in my future a lot of me sitting in the bleachers at the boys' basketball games, and I'm watching the game on my little phone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You're dreaming.
trying to watch, Penn State, Ohio State or something.
So, guys, looking at this schedule, which is unbelievable, tell us what games you're most excited about in week one. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Well, to wrap up, Robbie, things you're most excited about college season as we get started.
Quarterback play, and coaches. There's a lot of good coaches in college right now,
A lot
and
of good
they've
coaches.
done just a fantastic job of dealing with all these transitions with NIL and collectives and dealing
And
with all that.
maybe the deepest quarterback class we've had in a long time. I mean, you're like
I
15
mean,
quarterbacks
probably
deep.
rivals last year. You know, um, it should be one of those kind of classes where it's not even your top 4 quarterbacks. It's go look at quarterback 12. He's going to be in the NFL. He's not just going to be on some practice squad, 4th guy that gets dropped. He's going to be a backup or a starter.
Yeah.
You know?
I think this class is much better than last year. I think last year they considered a little bit of a weak class.
I'm
2
talking
years
about
ago.
2 years ago is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Last year there were a lot of good draft picks, but not at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
There actually are NFL teams that have been waiting for 2 years knowing this was going to be a good class.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Nussmeier, Manning, whatever, all these guys. Again, Manning's going to stay unless the moons align perfectly, which means a national title, an SEC championship, and an MVP. If he gets 2 of the 3 of those, I bet you he comes out. Because you can't beat that. If you're a national champion and you got MVP or something, or if you win the SEC title and your MVP, whatever, you come out.
What I love to watch, and I'm going to be loving to watch with you guys every week when we do our weekend recaps, are the surprise players that emerge, like the Ashton Genties, the surprise teams like the Arizona States. I just think it makes it so exciting because the Blue Bloods are going to be there, but who are going to be the surprises? Who are going to be the teams that slip into the playoff?
Well, that's another thing that's so cool about these players that stay these 4 and 5 years is it gives them more opportunity to shine. Instead of this is your only year and you tweak your hamstring and then you're trying to come out to the NFL, it's like it's a disaster.
Because last year, I remember we got to about week 6 in our weekend recaps, and you and I started noticing this kid, Ashton Genty. We started watching his highlights. We started showing his highlights on the broadcast. And every time he touched the ball, he could go for a home run. It was crazy. Like
I remember trying to keep up with him in the scroll down below where I would see Ashton Genty 67-yard touchdown run. And then I swear 5 minutes later, Ashton Genty 64-yard touchdown run. You're thinking, did I read that wrong?
Yeah.
Or is this guy just busting long touchdowns on every other carry? Like it really, I can't remember a running back like Genty was last year for a long time.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this college football preview. We are so excited. We hope you're as excited as we are to go on this journey with us. We have so much football coming your way in the next couple months, and it's gonna be a fun ride. So,
it was a pleasure talking college football with you, Tommy. Thanks for coming along on the journey with us. To everyone out there, it's gonna be a great season, and I'm really excited about the development of a lot of these players. There's a lot of good players coming back to college football this year from last year. So,
and I feel like you and I both, Robbie, have changed our minds on transfer portal, NIL. At least I have. I've turned around on it. I now think it's made college football better. It's made the players stay longer. It's made more teams good, like the Indianas of the world. So people have a chance now. The expanded playoff format is fantastic. I love the 12 team. I hope they keep it there. I think that's where it should be. And I think the sport's in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, it's in a really good spot, and it can get better too. It can get better from here. That's the exciting part.
So. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining the Sports Guys tonight. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel, bring a friend to the channel. We want to continue to grow and bring you great content. And thanks so much for joining us on this ride. And we'll see you next time on Sports Guys.
Leave us a comment if you think that we missed it anywhere or you want to add some ideas.
Absolutely. Let's go watch some football. Have a great one. See you guys.